Warning, the following audio transmission is based on theory and is intended for entertainment purposes only. It's Doomsday and its affiliates will not be held liable for anything your dumbass does. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome everybody to It's Doomsday Podcast. Today is Sunday, May 12th. Time is 7:47 p.m. And joining me tonight on the show is nobody. You know, ladies and gentlemen, it's really hard to kind of keep this show together by myself without a co-host. It's been very, very difficult. Thankfully, I've been blessed with some really cool guests and some really cool events, and it's like I'm trying to get back into the swing of things because we had such a long break. But if you haven't listened in a while, you know that we just wrapped up the Hive Life stuff from the Hive Life convention in Sevierville, Tennessee. You know that in my downtime of all this and not being here because the Hive Life episodes were just out there coming out all the time, that there's a new show that launched, and it is called the Doom Daily Show. So the Doom Daily Show is me kind of going through my daily life, my different opinions on things that are happening in the news, or maybe just what I care to talk about that day. It's available on Spotify and a bunch of other different places out there where you get your podcast. You can find it. I'd appreciate it if you go check out the new show. Give me a follow over there. It's not prepper related at all, but it's kind of current events and kind of my opinions on things. Enough of that. The new code for ReadyWise is Doom10 TEN. Doom10 TEN. So Doom10 for 10% off at ReadyWise.com. Okay. The email, it's doomsdaypodcast@gmail.com. Should you want to be a guest on the show. So last episode, we kind of beat up some more of the China thing and what we're relying on as far as foreign goods goes. And I didn't want to keep going down that road. I did want to talk about some escalation of other things, though. And first and foremost, the current administration is denying weapons to Israel, as we have our youth all around the country protested at college campuses to try to, free Palestine and all the Gaza stuff. I hate even trying to keep up with it at this point. It's just too much between working two jobs and doing the other show and trying to keep up with all the little incidentals of these current events is just it's too much. But it sounds a lot to me like we are talking some Civil War type activity with this, because people are at each other's throats right now over this situation. And again, we're in this election season, and we always talk on the show about what we could expect during an election season. You know, the rioting, the diseases, just everything that's coming out. So there's also been talk of the bird flu like crazy, and I guess the WHO is getting fired up about this. There's a lot of things that are coming, and what I wanted to basically cover in tonight's episode, just kind of like let's have a recap on preparedness. Now, for most of us, this is a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that we chose one way or the other. Either it's, you had someone convince you that prepping's a good thing. Maybe you saw the writing on the wall, so you took it upon yourself to do it. Or maybe you went through a really nasty circumstance and you decided to yourself, hey, I think I need to start prepping. Whatever the case may be, we're going to go through a kind of a recap, a prepper kind of recap thing. So first and foremost, with any disaster, just automatically assume you're going to be cut off from the outside world. That's 911 communications down, power grid down, water supply down, gas supply down, natural gas down, whatever it is you count on. You can no longer count on it.
Are you looking for something kick-ass to add to your closet? Reaper has the hookup for t-shirts, hoodies, button-ups, hats, beanies, and plenty of other badass products. You can check out Reaper Apparel Company at www.reaperapparelco.com and use code DOOM10 for 10% off. Jester only stands behind brands he believes in, and Dan at Reaper Apparel has a mission, and Jester is on board. Go check out www.reaperapparelco.com today and use code DOOM10 for 10% off your entire order. Why be a sheep when you can reap? Use code DOOM10 for 10% off at www.reaperapparelco.com today.
General contractors coming out to make repairs on your home, fix a leaky roof, things like that. And there's a lot of different roads we can go down as far as how to prep for each of these individual things, but let's just start with the basics. Water, food, shelter, security. Okay? We know these ones. And give yourself a little bit of an assessment as I'm going along. Ask yourself these questions. Jester wants to know, do you have enough water? Do you have water filtration? Do you have a way to purify some really nasty water? Okay. Do you have a way to collect more water when your current supply runs out? And if your answer is yes, I have a life straw, and that's good enough. No, my friend, it's not. It's not. Think about a way to collect it, a way to purify it, a way to filter it, a way to store it. Think about these things. Okay? A lot of people have that mentality of like, oh, it's only going to be for a week. What happens when it's 2 or 3 or 3 months or 3 years? Then what? Then you're not going to be so lucky. Now, let's talk about food. A lot of people have it in their head that they're just going to go out and hunt, or the canned goods they have on the shelf is going to be enough. No. It's not. So you guys know I highly recommend storing up on survival food. I highly recommend canned goods, okay? But I also really recommend renewable foods. If you don't have an emergency seed bank, you should get one. If you didn't start building an emergency seed bank, you should. If you haven't started gardening yet, you should absolutely get on it. For my apartment preppers out there, look into the microgreens. You can grow these things on your counter. They're ready to harvest in under a week. I think it's about a week. And it's really good, densely packed nutrients that you can do in your home. Okay? So look into the microgreens. And it's relatively inexpensive too. I did it as a trial run to see how easy it would be to grow, and I grew more than I could eat. I got sick of them, so I stopped growing them. But very nutrient dense, and it's a renewable source. I haven't looked much into harvesting the seeds from the greens you're growing, but that's the key to make it renewable. Okay? For those of you that are like, yeah, I got the seed bank, but I never gardened before. Yes, okay, there are those people out there. You'll want to practice gardening. You want to get your experience. Do small things now. Practice growing tomatoes in a 5-gallon bucket, right? Do small things. Test some things out. See where you can get to. Growing food in small quantities is a pain in the balls when it comes to self-sustainability. You need to grow a lot of food. And the main reason you need to grow a lot of food is because harvest times are so far and few between. You'll starve to death before you'll harvest one tomato from your tomato plant. Like if that's what you're counting on. You'll starve to death before your corn is ready to eat. That's why, in my mind, I have a strategy. The strategy is eat the things that are going to perish first. The foods in the freezer, the foods in the fridge that are going to go bad. Let's cook those, preserve those, do something to keep that food good as long as possible. When that time comes and all that stuff's gone, then we're on the hunt. We're spending a lot of time in the wilderness. Squirrels, rabbits, deer, bear, fox, groundhog, maybe make some coyote jerky, turtle, whatever protein source you can get. But that's not even 100% reliable, because you could go out into the woods for 3 weeks and not come back with anything. And then there's like a family of 4 huddling together around one squirrel trying to get a meal. It's not a good time. Okay? So, aside from that, having the emergency survival food. Because obviously your garden will grow while you're out on the hunt for meats, right? But having that emergency food storage is paramount, because when all else fails, there's no deer in the woods. You run out of your canned goods. The food that was in the fridge is all gone. You know, you're not catching any fish. Whatever the case may be, that food is shelf stable, so it's good to go. It is there. As long as you got water and a heat source, boom, you're good to go. Now, also, and this isn't an option for everybody. Some people live in the cities, things like that, but work on the foraging skills, right? You're going to need to eat. Like, let's just put it plain and simple. We eat every day. You're going to need to eat. You're going to want to eat. And you're going to go nuts when you get hungry, as most Americans will. So, to move on from that, let's move into the shelter side. Shelter side. Say that 5 times fast. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in your home and you plan on bugging in, great. But do keep in mind, things can go wrong. Okay? And this is where being very handy comes into play. This is when you need to make sure you have that toolbox close by, and you need to hone some crafting skills. And when I say crafting skills, I don't mean like weaving baskets and things like that. I mean, get good at a craft, whether it's carpentry, whether it's electrical, whether it's, roofing, things like this. Your roof may spring a leak, and you might find yourself having to make repairs. And if all you can do is throw a tarp over it, to protect the things within inside the home, that's good enough. That's fine. But do bear in mind that these contractors aren't coming. And we've talked about things like this before on the show, why electricians would be valuable, why plumbers would be valuable. Learning these skills and honing things is absolutely key to survival. And I don't care what anybody says about that. You're not going to leave your home, right? So what happens when you can't flush that toilet anymore? What are you going to do? How bad is life going to suck? If you're planning on bugging in and the roof does get a leak in it, what's your plan? You're just going to live in the rain? Are you going to live in the water? I don't think so. You're going to want to fix it. You're going to want to do something about it. So simply having some tools around and being a little bit handy and being able to fix things is key, because shelter is everything. All right. Now, there are ways to combat different things. Like, it's amazing what you can do with garbage bags, duct tape, a caulking gun. Like, these things are amazing. Say that it is the apocalypse and you've got, marauders going around and randomly breaking into houses or throwing rocks through windows or stuff like that. And it's wintertime and now it's cold and the rain's coming in. Boom. There's your duct tape and garbage bags. You're patching that right up. It's not going to be pretty, but it's the apocalypse. Who cares? It's helping keep the heat in and the moisture out. That's what's important. So just try to think outside the box a little bit when it comes to this stuff. Having a little cardboard box with a couple rolls of duct tape, couple rolls of garbage bags, maybe a couple tubes of caulking, and you just put on there to seal shit in the apocalypse, and you just put it in the closet. Like, that's simple. Now, I guarantee you, just with the way life goes, you'll end up breaking into that stuff and using it before the apocalypse gets here anyway. And if you don't use it, guess what? If the apocalypse never happens, you're going to combat inflation anyway. So there you go. To move into the security side of this is one that it's a touchy subject for me, because everybody's like guns. Guns are great. I love guns. I have guns. I like to shoot. I shoot proficiently. I like to train. I like my guns. Okay, a lot. They're great for security. They're also great for grocery shopping in the wilderness. I mean, they are fantastic. And the thing is, sadly, not every prepper out there can own a firearm, right? That's just the way it is. Some people have they have felonies. There's There's people that have been declared mentally defective and they cannot own weapons. So there's preppers out there that cannot own firearms, period. And I know a couple. And the thing is, in the event shit hits the fan and these guys stockpiled their shit, they don't want their shit taken either.
Fire is one of the most basic essentials for survival. Whether you're camping, hiking, or preparing for disaster, Blackbeard has your six. Go to www.blackbeardfire.com and utilize code DoomsDay for 10% off your entire purchase. Blackbeard offers stormproof matches, plasma arc lighters, fire starters, and ferro rods, all of which are great for your bug out bag. Once again, go to www.blackbeardfire.com and utilize code DOOMSDAY for 10% off your entire purchase.
So they need to get creative and they need to get out. They need to think outside the box. And maybe their plan is disguising their home to make it look like it's abandoned. Maybe that's their plan. Maybe it's like, yeah, I don't plan on having a power in the apocalypse because I want it to look like this place is abandoned so nobody comes in here looking around for things. And if they do, I'm unexpectedly going to be waiting on the other side of the door with a ball bat. All right? If you think in a very simple terminology of like, I just need to protect myself and my apocalyptic assets, you could do wonders. Because your protection and my protection, they might be two different things. We might be on two different wavelengths. I'm over here thinking guns. I'm thinking cameras that run off my solar generators. I'm thinking I've got all these motion sensors that alert me to different points of the house and the property, things like that. Maybe your solution is, hey, man, I've got like 300 feet of 50-pound test fishing line, and I've got a shit ton of Bud Light cans with pea gravel in them. And I'm going to know what can goes off at what point of the night, and I'm going to know right where someone's at because I'm going to run tripwires all around the place. Or maybe you set up one of those random things that makes a glow stick crack on a tree so you know exactly, a little area lights up what side of the property they're coming in on. Like you just hear a crack, you hear that can, and then there's a glow stick glowing in the tree over there, and then you know. Maybe you've got some crazy MacGyver stuff like that set up. So your version and my version is different, but the one thing I can tell you, the biggest thing for the apocalyptic security is maintaining OPSEC, oppositional security. We talk about this from time to time. The ability to maintain OPSEC, basically the ability to keep your mouth shut and not share too much with other people. You should not let your neighbors know what you're doing. And this isn't being a bad neighbor, this is simply protecting yourself. People like to talk a lot, okay? People like to talk a lot, and people like to just run their mouths about anything just for the sake of a conversation. So it might be like, yeah, my neighbor's a prepper, and he's got like 80 cans of coffee, and he's got 487 rolls of toilet paper, and he gets all this stuff sent to the house all the time. And they recently got chickens, and I think they're getting a cow. And then somebody else who might be one of these werewolf preppers is like listening to this, taking notes. Oh, is that yellow house on the corner? Oh, it is? Yeah, I seen that guy out there. He drives a Dodge. He's usually home during the evening, gone during the day. That guy? Oh, yeah, that guy. I think his name's Ronald. Yeah, Ronald. Yeah, Ronald's a prepper, and he does all this crazy prepper stuff. Well, one day, Ronald's going to go to work, and he's going to come back, and the solar generator's going to be gone. Or the apocalypse is going to happen, and his shit's going to get missing real quick because they know that's a hotspot house. And we have talked about the werewolf preppers before. We've talked about them on the show. We've talked about them on social media. It's been a topic of conversation. And just basically to summarize it, there are people out there that are watching what other people are doing. And, it's crazy to me that people are ignoring that. Like, that's not a thing. And they like to share what they have, and they like to talk about what they have, and they like to, spread to the world where they live and what they have going on. And to me, that blows my mind. And I know people on social media that do this, that don't hide a thing, that give out their actual address, and they show on social media the things that they have.
Want to be a guest on the show? Email it's doomsdaypodcast@gmail.com. That's it's doomsdaypodcast@gmail.com.
And to me, it's absolutely crazy. And one would think that with you being of the prepper mindset, that you have this mindset of anything can go wrong. So why wouldn't that be something that you'd be thinking about? Why wouldn't you be thinking about that in particular? The idea that someone could come along and just take what you have. Because that's something I think about. I think about that all the time. I think about people that have been to my house before, that have saw things, people that I've invited over, people that I've gotten close with that maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I've shared too much with a certain individual that's like looking to track me down. And then also friends right now, pre-shit hits the fan. What are they going to be like post-shit hits the fan? So, and I've had conversations with people before, and I'm like, dude, you ought to get yourself a little bit prepared up. You got a family and, this, that, the other, and it's, I'll come to your house. The fuck you will. The fuck you will. I don't have shit to offer you. So I guess like I said at the beginning of the show, this show is really hard to do without a co-host. Because if you guys have listened to all the past episodes, it's me and another host bouncing things back and forth. This in no way, shape, or form means the show is coming to an end. So don't think that. But what it does mean is that some of these topics might get a little bit dry. And they might get a little bit redundant. And we might beat the hell out of certain topics because there's simply just nobody to communicate with. So, on another note, though, since we're still doing the show and we're still going here, go back through the things that you have. Most of us have a inventory list of the things we have. And I think that you need to really do a self-assessment of what you're doing, how you're doing it, what your plans are, things like that. In emergency services and emergency disaster preparedness, even in your kids' schools, they do emergency drills, right? They'll do a fire drill. They'll do a tornado drill. They do drills and they do trainings. Start doing this stuff. It's not difficult to do, to organize some training exercises within your home. Okay, how quickly can we boil water over this propane burner? How quickly can we cool it back down to drink it? How quickly can we get out of the house in the event of a fire? How quickly can we get the stuff immobilized we want to take if we have to bug out into the car? And then do it again and again and again. See where there's errors, correct those errors, and get proficient. All right? I can tell you right now, there's no way in hell I'd get out with all my stuff. That's why I plan to bug in. Now, I do have plans if I need to bug out, but I am not taking as much stuff with me. Absolutely not. There's no way I could take everything. There is this fantasy idea of having an RV that everything's preloaded in, that you can just hook up to the truck and go with. But the reality to that is it's a fantasy. It's not real, at least not for me. I mean, if you've got buku money, maybe you could go out and you could buy an RV. You could fully stock the thing with emergency rations, emergency seed banks, guns, ammo, the latest, greatest satellite technologies, and maybe you could do that. Maybe you've got that kind of budget. But Jester Dooms does not. So Jester Dooms is staying home. Speaking of honing skills, guys, there are still prep stock tickets available. You can go to www.prepstock.com, or I'm sorry, www.prepstock.net, and you could secure your tickets to Prep Stock. And on that note, listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming up in searches now on the internet as it gets closer to the day. So as time rolls on, these tickets are going to be few and far between. And I just want to make that known to people, because I don't want you to be like, man, I waited too late and I missed it. Just don't wait. Prep stock's happening. We've sold more than enough tickets to make the event happen. I just don't want people to miss out that may be dragging their feet. That's what worries me. I don't want people to drag their feet and be like, man, I missed it. And then tell me about it. Then that's what it'll be. It'll be all these emails. Dude, tell me about prep stock. I missed it. Or I'll be on social media. Dude, how was prep stock? And I'll be repeating that for months. It was good, man. I'm kind of burnt out on talking about it, though. So get there. We will not be live streaming the show from there or anything of the sort. If you want the experience, you just simply need to be there. And it's not because I don't want to provide that for you guys. I would love to. But with actually running the event, there's going to be so much going on, and I don't even know if I'm going to have time to like pull my phone out to do anything social media related. That's all. That's the only reason why. Me and Local Prepper have been working really hard behind the scenes, making different things happen. And guys, I'm going to keep bringing the show to you as long as physically possible. And if you're not checking out the Doom Daily Show yet, go check out the Doom Daily Show. I got to go record that next. God, it's busy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. Once again, the email, it's doomsdaypodcast@gmail.com. Drop us a line. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll be back next Monday morning with another awesome It's Doomsday podcast.
This is an emergency action message. At approximately 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, NORAD is tracking 15 ICBM nuclear missiles inbound to the following cities: Orlando, Miami, Pittsburgh, Dover, Newark, Richland, Philadelphia, New York City, Baltimore, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Boston, Seattle, Detroit. This is an extremely deadly situation. Stay tuned. The next emergency message will be a presidential address.